I gotta say something, and I gotta say it fast. Wait, what is this shit? I'm not doing this. This is the one, yeah. So initially, the stream's title was going to be like, crime is legal, left is right, and Orange Yuppie is the king. And YouTube didn't allow that for whatever reason. Corporation, Google, Alphabet Corporation, Sundar Pichai. Uh, Again, corporations are evil, generally. They kind of are. It's their job to be evil, I guess. But whatever. What I'm trying to say right now here is the entire fucking country of the United States is now... I mean, the United States now is a failed country. That's just a given, right? It's a failed nation, state, whatever. Failed state, exactly. That's what the term is. And it's honestly fucking hilarious, but, like, it's also... I mean, it's obviously sad. But at this point, it's like, they can get away with anything.
This vexes me.
Like a mega cultist could literally have his, like... Okay, I'm not gonna... I was gonna say something. Like, could literally get fucking butt raped by Donald Trump himself, and he would still be like, holy shit, I was marked. I now carry the mark of the prophet. You say something like that, right? These motherfuckers are kind of immoral. They don't really have a political ideology, it's just worshipping Trump. They're sinners. If you're a Christian, you would call them sinners. Because they are. They're maniacs. If you're a non-Christian, that's the preferred term, I guess. Or, no, I mean, a non-Abrahamic religion person, whatever. Yeah, but anyways, these essences are not good. I'm not gonna pick them up. They're not worth it. Didn't go well the last time I picked them up. Strong boxes are fine though. Also, my relics are horrible. Meh. I want to pick this up, but I'll fuck it. Oh right, I was supposed to watch a video. Sorry. Sorry for party.
And now I'm exposing it for the first time. Are the Epstein files about to be released?
And it was a rickroll. They rickrolled the people.
We also released Andrew and Tristan Tate. They're free to leave Romania. All because, according to the Financial Times, the White House and government officials have been pressuring Romania to let these poor, persecuted influencers go. Here's
like the most openly corrupt fucking administration in the United States history, probably in the history of, I don't know, I would say democracy, but that wouldn't really be true, would it? They're so fucking corrupt, it's insane.
the scoop from the Financial Times.
And yet they lap it up. We're solving corruption, guys. We're not the corruption.
The taker accounts with various payment processors. I know this because
I already watched this part up until minute 5, so you can watch this yourself.
Money he has.
It's a good video, I think.
We don't,
I mean, it's short.
don't know if he's gonna pay. He might have left the country.
not
So he's bragging about, and he also has this like, he also named him like his fake identity after like a Bond villain, a literal Bond villain.
leaked documents was they come from TransferWise. Now, this is a payment processor. Now it's just known as Wise. I did confront these people on it because they subsequently terminated the Tate's account, or that's the reports. And so I went to them and I said, hey, you know, what happened, this or that? They declined to comment on the story, saying that they don't comment on individual accounts. I will say that this account was flagged for AML KYC reasons, anti-money laundering reasons. That's what AML means. So it appears that TransferWise was aware of the case. They were aware of the money laundering implications of someone using a fake name, a burner account, email address, all these types of things to set up payments to shell companies. But I also want to be clear that this isn't merely my speculation that they would use this type of name. We also have company house information from the UK of Scorpius Ltd. And we go ahead and see who the secretary of this organization is, and it's Mr. Tristan Tate. So it's not like I'm just going off of one passport which says, Tristan Tate is saying he's Vladimir Scorpius. They created a public shell company in the UK called Scorpius Ltd. Not only that, this is one of Tristan Tate's inside jokes, I guess. You can be loud and proud about it. He calls himself Vladimir Scorpius.
Captain Vladimir Scorpius. I fear no weather. Listen, we need to solve this problem. It's a big problem. Why? Because the ship's wet. So?
I don't know what they're doing in that scene. Maybe they're coming back to America from Romania. I don't know. What I do know is that once again, these people are not quiet about it. It's not like this money laundering scheme and tax evasion scheme is exactly a secret, because they literally brag about it. And when they're prosecuted, they just cry foul. And we have government officials willing to go to bat for them. It is insane. I just think it's funny. Look, nobody pining over the Epstein list can ever say anything again. I'm amazed by the overlap of people who go, and again, it's not the same things that they're accused of exactly. It rhymes, but it's not the exact same things. But it is amazing how people go, yeah, we got to release the list. I can't believe Epstein was supported by officials and really powerful people. There's no way. Those same people, dude, if Epstein had just cried that the Matrix was attacking him, right now he would not be, he'd be extradited. He'd be back on Little St. James right now as we speak, sipping a Mai Tai, talking about politics and how much he was persecuted by the elites. By the way, this is what Tristan Tate did about the bank situation. He's struggled getting payment processing. It's a shocker to think about why. And they've complained about this multiple times, and people run to their defense like, I can't believe the Tate brothers are getting persecuted.
There's a friend of mine who owns a bank. I'm not going to put him on blast. I'm not going to say the name of his bank, but he owns his own bank. He's a very successful guy. He's a member of my private, an actual bank, a bank. And he said, don't worry, Tristan, I'll just give you an account in my bank. No problem. Sent him my passport, my brother's passport, all my details. I said, good, make me a bank account. He calls me 2 days later. He says, I have never seen anything like this in my life. I said, what? The person who issued my banking license called me today and said, if you give these 2 accounts, your license is revoked and your bank's been shut down. And I was like, wow. So if you don't believe in the Matrix, if you don't believe me and Andrew are under attack, if you think that we are just, suffering the consequences
Bro, you're a literal known money
of our own
launderer.
actions and that we're criminals and there's no conspiracy
What
against
the
us,
fuck?
explain to me, please, why I can't have a bank anywhere in the world.
Because you
I wonder
use
why.
fake passports calling yourself Vladimir Scorpius. It isn't a conspiracy. What are you talking? Oh, if you don't believe in the Matrix, explain to me why I'm not allowed to launder money and not pay taxes. Really? Guys, this is crazy. And all these people eat it up. Oh, they're getting persecuted. Meanwhile, you actually read the case against them, and they open up Scorpius Ltd, Goose Famoose, The Cannon Run, and they allegedly don't pay taxes according to UK police. All the while, by the way, actually they are opening up fake bank accounts. You see, Respondents Brothers have continued to open up financial accounts in the UK using UK identification and holding out their address to be there for business revenues and to launder funds. We don't care about victims. Just dress up in a nice suit. Just brag about what you did. Just be shameless, dude. And then at the end of it, you can just say, hey, they're attacking me. I'm a free speech man. And everybody flocks to your defense. So, look, I hope you enjoyed this little run through the world of crime. I mean, it's legal now. So I just think we should be honest about it. Let's stop pretending it's not exactly what it looks like. You can see it for yourself. I mean, they brag about it. They use literal Bond villain names. They're not even trying to hide it. So I'm just sick of the pretending. Look, we want Bond villains to be walking in America. Hey, that's fine. Just let's be honest about what we're doing. So yeah, that's basically it. I just have been sort of sitting on this information for a while. By the way, I did go to Tristan Tate because although they have, basically said they don't want to respond to me, I still wanted to go to them given that these are, serious accusations, even though they kind of talk about them very publicly. And Tristan Tate, he did respond. Here we are. I'm going to report on the tax evasion allegations and you using different fake names to launder money. If you'd like to make a statement clarifying or adding context, feel free to do so.
Oh no, he responded with, "Why are you gay?"
Specifically of interest to me are all the various shell companies you and your
Fucking
brother created in the UK, like Scorpius and others. And here's the response. So there you have it. A serious response from a serious person. Now they're in Miami, chilling. Captain Vladimir is probably back on his boat. So, yeah. That's basically it.
America is a joke. It's a fucking joke. It's all a joke. Sadly. Wait, oh, right, here. Okay. Lockpicking, level 2. Agility, level 3. Brute force, level 3. Yeah, I'll do those later on. Let's go back. Do now. Alright, I need a bismuth bar? Sure. Can I even mine bismuth? Oh, I can. I should be able to. There we go. Now we can melt bismuth. Just bismuth, please. Oh wait, I don't even have any. Oh wait, I do have a lot of bismuth. Okay, cool. Should probably get a few more workers. Cool. Bismuth. Bismuth. I mean, that's cheap. I can do that, sure. Maybe not now, though. Yeah, maybe not now. Fuck it, I'll do it. Another one? I'll keep it to myself. So I should probably get some more miners. Or maybe I should just wait. Yeah, I should probably wait. So I have 2 crews, let's say. Do this. Oh shit, that's insane. Yeah, I gotta improve this place too. Or, are you fucking kidding me? Shit. Oh no. I fucked up. So we're getting some bismuth. Almost there. I think I'm gonna get an Aegis Aurora shield. Svalin is way too fucking expensive. It's insanely expensive, in fact. Aegis Aurora is nice. I like that one. Also goes well with the build I have. Oh, there we go. Now I can activate this shit.
Maybe we can get some specialists in for Rog.
Probably wait for more bismuth mine. More bismuth to be mined.
We've got a promising list of picks. Here's the next set.
This is okay.
One more for King's
Sure.
March. Great choice. We'll break that down and
More bismuth. Everybody mines bismuth.
understood.
73. Wait, in the meanwhile I'll just play the game. My map sustain is horrid. Not sure what I can do. I mean, what content should I do? Oh, wait, I have a inventory. I capture some animals, I think. Some beasts, as the game calls it. Beasts. I can make a unique flask. Who gives a shit? A rare talisman, which is level 21. Who gives a fuck about that? Okay, yeah, this is kind of not good. I give up. In that case, I'll do Delve or mine, whatever.
So you know how those town halls have been going horrifically wrong for Republican congressmen. The Republican Party is now telling them to stop doing them. They're telling Republicans, stop talking to your constituents. Stop talking to these people. Now, I'm going to say something that a lot of people don't want to believe, but the people you see going to these town halls, they're not Republicans, most of them. They're mostly left-wing voters. Why? Republican voters don't actually give a f. Republican voters just vote R and then let these people pillage the nation, destroy everything, plunder all throughout this country, and then just hope maybe it'll fix itself. Republican voters are just like the people they elect. Fools, idiots who neglect their actual duties, don't give a damn about a functioning society, and just sit there. Republican voters don't want to. There's two things. Republican voters don't actually hold their politicians accountable for jack shit. They close their eyes, close their ears, and try to la their way through it, hoping to God everything will sort itself out. It won't. Number two, Trump voters desperately want to believe they're not wrong. They desperately want to run away from the possibility that maybe they fucked up. And because they are so desperate to avoid accountability at any and all costs, they must never confront a Republican face to face. So here's what's going on. House Republicans hit the brakes on town halls after blowbacks concerning Trump's cuts. A number of Republican lawmakers faced significant pushback in their home districts over Elon Musk and Trump's slashing of the federal government. House Republicans are becoming weary and wary of in-person town hall meetings after a number of lawmakers have faced hometown crowds angry about the Trump administration's push to slash government programs and staffing. Party leaders suggest that if lawmakers feel the need to hold such events, they do tele-town halls or at least vet attendees to avoid scenes that become viral clips. So there's no way for them to vet someone because anyone is supposed to be allowed to come in. You dictatorial dicks. The fact that these heads would sit there and say, vet the people, vet them. Vet them for what? The weapon of the tongue? Pause. The power of the tongue? Pause. Their ability to come in there and verbally embarrass you? Is that what you're vetting for? They're so desperate. Like, imagine sitting there basically saying, shove a bunch of people who fuck with you in there to make sure the people who don't fuck with you can't get in. Yo! They're desperate. Hey, these niggas said, do a tele-town hall. Don't touch the plebs directly. Ugh, nasty. Don't get in there with them. Don't actually be in a room with them. Don't actually put yourself in a position to be held accountable by people who don't support what you're doing. Because see, Republicans are like, well, you didn't vote for me, so you're not my constituent. I don't represent you. I represent the people who voted for me. They're brats. They're children. They're basically saying, don't directly stand in front of the plebs as you enrage them with this Doge fuckery. What you should instead do is dodge the plebs, duck the plebs, evade the plebs. Okay, Muhammad Ali, the plebs. Don't let them touch you. Don't let them get too close. Chael's like, I can't let you get too close. You know, Chael's son in them. Don't let them get too close, you know. Make sure Vanderlei don't get too close. So they've now resorted to staying as far from the plebs as one can possibly get and also filling up the room with GOP meat munchers in order to avoid actually dealing with people who know what you're doing. See, Republican voters, they desperately don't want to confront the reality of what they voted in. And most of them have no concept of actually holding politicians accountable. They only believe in screaming at Joseph Robinette Biden. They cannot bring themselves to ever check Donald Trump. Republican servants of Trump have now basically resorted to filling up town halls of their own stooges to run away from their constituents who know what they're doing. We know what you're doing. We know exactly what you're doing. Your constituents might not want to face the reality, but we will. We will. A GOP aide said House Republican leaders are urging lawmakers to stop engaging in them altogether. So Republicans have basically said, nigga, we don't owe you an explanation, nigga. Teleprompter or not. Tele town hall or not. We ain't talking to you, broke bitch. You are a pleb. You are a peon. What did Andrew Tate say? You're a peasant. You're a peon. You're a peasant. You're a peon. You don't deserve to talk to us. And notice how this is not how elected representatives act. This is how unelected dictators behave. I'm kind of convinced, Republican Congress people have no intention of leaving office. They all intend to stay. A normal elected representative doesn't sit there and say, we're just going to stop talking to you. Stop engaging in town halls. Excuse me. We need to know you actually answer to us. We need to know where your loyalties lie. Is it to Trump or is it to us? Clearly, maintaining some kind of image of Teflon is more important to you than actually listening to the constituents. Because the reality is, what you're hearing from liberals right now is the verbal version of what you're going to receive from psychotic MAGAs once this gets too hard for them to bear. You're receiving words from us. What you will receive from the lunatics you have turned on us over the past few years will be 20 times worse than what you're dealing with now. You should probably listen to what liberals are saying in these town halls and stop Musk and Trump now and fucking impeach this fool now, or you can deal with a psychotic American population turning on you, many of whom will be the MAGAs that you're relying upon for your power right now. You can't get away with this forever. Eventually, you all will make this nation so unlivable and so chaotic that even the most loyal of MAGA meat riders will eventually have no choice but to acknowledge the error in their ways. And they won't fully blame themselves. They'll really put all the blame on you. So keep it up. This ridiculous idea of just not doing town halls at all, you think you can run away from this forever? You think the only people who are going to be angry at you are liberals at a town hall? Are you that dense? Do you know how many conservatives aren't that big of a MAGA meat rider? A lot of them are kind of, I kind of lean right. All it takes is this nation going upside down for them to stop supporting you. The only thing that will ever make Trump supporters put the hat away and hide it is if this nation goes to shit under Trump, which it will, by the way. And when that inevitably happens, what are you going to do?
They're gonna probably do some martial lockdowns or something. They're gonna put on martial law, do some lockdowns, go full authoritarian mode, completely take control over the social media. Or they'll just take control of the social media, they'll control people's moods using algorithms, and yeah, you people are gonna eat slop and be happy. Awesome, am I right? You kidding me? Use one an adjacent flag. I'll go get through some harbingers then. I'm just not gaining wealth. I got an idea though. Hold on a second. I mean, it's not exactly an idea. And it probably won't work, but I'll try. How much does one of these tomes go for? Let's see. Path of Exile. Oh shit, I should close this one. Alright, tome, Forbidden Tome, whatever. And then, that's it, yeah. Is it really 20 chaos? That doesn't seem right. I'll list it for that, sure. Oh, right, I gotta make it public. Let's see the trade chat. It's just this dude typing the same fucking thing over and over. Hosting 5-way, hosting 5-way, hosting 5-way. There's no one else here. It's just the same fucking message over and over. Okay, nobody cares then. Oh. So, I would sell my dog for meals. Brother, I would cook the fucking dog. Also, I need another dog marionette. How much do they go for? This sucks. Maybe this guy will respond, I don't know. This is all I have. This. I got 3C. Finally, 20C. It's yours. Thank you. Thank you. Now I'm 20C richer. Finally, someone actually bothered to respond.
This vexes me.
Big money, bitch.
Yummers.
Alright, so there's been a few things. Apparently, I mean, not apparently, it's pretty obvious. Sabine Hosenfelder, this YouTube chick, is a fucking fraud. As I always suspected, I mean, she's a fucking fraud. She screams that, you know, she's a fucking fraud. So who gives a shit? I give out. There. And then I came across this video. I mean, I didn't come across it. The algorithm fucking threw it to my face. So, yeah, shady Discord users are working for the government now. And yeah, I know, I kind of predicted what it was. It's the Elon youth, the Nazi youth,
Edward Korestein is one of
Hitler youth.
the 6 young engineers working for Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, known as Doge, because crypto or something. This video isn't really about the politics. I'm more focused on Edward and how Edward has a bit of a shady past on Discord. You see, investigators looked through businesses registered under Edward's name and found companies called Tesla.sexy and Diamond CDN. And using that information, they found out that Edward had a Discord account called Rivage, who is actually someone I've talked to before, which is never a good sign, by the way. And during that whole entire investigation, Krebs on Security found out that Rivage, or Edward, is part of the COM. Now, if you don't know, the COM is an archipelago of Discord and Telegram chat channels that function as a kind of distributed cybercriminal social network. Anything goes. Cybercrime is abundant, people work together, and people stab each other in the back. It's basically the Wild West of Discord that's rooted in cybercrime. And Rivage, who was involved in the COM, is now working for the US government. And the reason why any of you should care is the fact that at the end of the video, I'm going to explain why you should be concerned about the security of your personal information, especially with Edward being in a government position. And with that, I'm going to dive into each one of Edward or Rivage's shady Discord escapades while diving deeper into the COM rabbit hole that ends with manipulation and betrayal. Let's start with Edward's first escapade, which is a service or website called Tesla.sexy. Now, Tesla.sexy, according to their own website, is an image hosting platform for Discord. And the news picked up on this. And I just want to start off before I read this article by saying the media, specifically about this, are a bunch of f***ing idiots. Because here's the thing, there's this article by Muskwatch talking about how a Doge teen, Edward shop, blanking most vile content on the internet. And things get even worse, because if you look at the Tesla.sexy website, they specifically say they advertise privacy. Unlike other image hosting websites, we do not log IP addresses, user agents, or anything similar. Images are encrypted at rest and in transit. And the media went wild with this. Edward Korestein, anyone that would use the actually comedic. I made a video customizable crap around it. So no, Edward Korestein wasn't running a whole entire Predator image hosting ring. It's just nerds doing nerdy shit to look cool or look different. But since the only people that would actually care about this are young people, instead of these people having their image hosting domain be something stupid like notexttosleep.xyz, instead they would want to be edgy. And that's why Edward Korestein's website, Tesla.sexy, had domains like N-word rentals or N-word blank download. So these offensive domain names were just to be offensive. And here's the thing, after I made this video, I actually got a DM from someone named Rivage. In fact, this was Edward's actual account who DM'd me, and he DM'd me saying, "Hey there, I'm one of the owners of Tesla.sexy. The important thing is that he is one of the owners," which we will get more into a little bit later. And surprisingly, Edward said that he was working towards a more professional look. However, that doesn't excuse the fact that his website had the domain of childblank.store. And there's a reason for explaining this, but things did get worse because of this. In a news article by Wired talking about how the Doge teen owns Tesla.sexy, they pointed out that Tesla.sexy LLC controls dozens of web domains, including at least 2 Russian registers. And spoiler alert, there's more about this foreign connection thing. We'll hard R at don't. And spoiler alert, there's more about this foreign connection thing we'll get to later with some espionage threats. Rivage or Edward, so that they could use that domain through Tesla.sexy so that they have the cool screenshots. And just to make the picture even more clear, Rivage said, "Just today I kicked off domains with a hard R and any other discriminatory all automatically be accepted, and then Edward in the future would have to kick off any domains he didn't like, which would very easily explain how these disgusting domains ended up in Edward's website. But let's get back to Rivage or Edward talking about how he's one of the owners. From what I could gather, if you donated a whole bunch of domains to Tesla.sexy, you would become an employee, a staff member, or if you donated enough domains, you would become one of the owners. And at one point, there were 4 owners. There was Rivage, another dude named Sigma, another person named Krabs, and another person named Stoic. There were 4 owners. I don't know how that's possible, but again, it's a fucking Discord company. But with Edward being in the news left, right, and center, people started opening back up old drama that they had. Because what happened is that the Daily Dot released an article talking about how there was leaked audio recordings that revealed doxing and harassment from the company owned by Edward Korestein. In the 2 leaked audio clips, there were 4 people in a Discord group call: Pob G, Scythens, Crazy, and Sigma was the owner, and they were harassing some random dude in a group chat.
Sir, I would like to inform you to suck my nuts.
That is Sigma, one of the owners.
We are fully aware. We are fully aware that your claims are dog shit. We know who you are.
We already know where you live.
Yeah, we literally doxed you earlier.
I know where you live.
We got your friends, your school, everything, bro.
The kid that got doxed was pretending to be Tesla and then sent a fake cease and desist or copyright notice to Tesla.sexy.
You failed to provide actual legal evidence that you have any affiliation with the Tesla Inc. Corporation whatsoever. And your girlfriend there, buddy. I hope you don't mind. I sent her a picture of my last night.
It's stupid kid drama. They also nuked his Discord server for some reason. All of this happened just days before Rivage reached out to me talking about going a little bit more professional. So eventually what happened, according to what I could find, is that Rivage pulled away in October 2021, took Tesla.sexy by himself, and registered it as his own company. You can see Tesla.sexy LLC was registered on December 2nd, 2021, and the only owner is Edward Korestein. So in my opinion, people freaking out about the company doxing people, it's like saying Edward's friends got mad at someone. Holy that's crazy. But as Edward went solo with Tesla.sexy, he was out of the frying pan and into the fire. Because Edward's second escapade, working at Path Network, is where the real problems start happening. According to the article, at Path Network, Korestein worked as a systems engineer from April to June of 2022, according to his now deleted LinkedIn resume. Path has at times listed employees Eric Taylor, also known as Cosmo the God, a well-known former cybercriminal and member of the hacking group, can't say that word on YouTube, as well as Matthew Flannery, an Australian convicted hacker whom police allege was a member of the hacker group Lulzsec. Now, Wired found no evidence that Edward Korestein or other Path employees engaged in illegal activity while Edward Korestein was at the company, but despite all of that, according to E.J. Hilbert, a former FBI agent, he said, if I was doing the background investigation on him, I would probably have recommended against hiring him for the work he's doing. Considering an FBI agent is saying this, I have no idea, again, how Edward is working for the government, considering that he worked for this company. This is a red flag, which also, this whole thing is a red flag because this person also briefly served as the CEO of Path Network. I don't even know what the is going on, and it just gets even more confusing because according to the Krebs on Security article talking about how Edward was in the comm, he talks about this Wired article and explains the twisted history of Path Network and how it relates to the comm. The founder of Path is a young man named Marshall Webb, who Krebs wrote back about Webb in 2016 in a story about a DDoS defense company that he co-founded called BackConnect Security LLC. On September 20th, 2016, Krebs on Security published data showing that the company had a history of hijacking internet address space that belonged to others. And in less than 24 hours after that story ran, Krebs on Security was hit with the biggest DDoS attack the internet had seen at the time. And the other founder of BackConnect Security LLC was Tucker Preston, a Georgia man who pled guilty in 2020 to paying a DDoS for hire service to launch attacks against others. And the aforementioned Path employee, Eric Taylor, pleaded guilty in 2017 to charges including an attack on Krebs's home in 2013 in an act of swatting. This is precisely what the comm is sort of about. There's revenge, there's swatting, there's doxing, there's everything. And the drama with all this stuff gets even worse because Wire noted that Korestein only worked at Path for a few months in 2022, but the story didn't mention why his tenure was so short. A screenshot shared on the website pathtruths.com, which we'll get more into, includes a snippet of conversations in June 2022 between Path employees discussing Edward Korestein's firing. Now, we are getting into comm drama, which is just a shithole. You just get dumber more, the more you learn about it. And I just want to say, everything is alleged because I just want to present the drama, not become part of it. But on this website, pathtruths.com, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's leaked about Path Network. And what was picked up by the media is this group chat here, where Marshall Webb, the CEO of Path Network, replies to a message by Curtis saying, Edward has been terminated for leaking internal information to the competitors. This is unacceptable and there is zero tolerance for this, and then it gets cut off. And Marshall Webb said the penalty for consorting with the enemy. The fact that Edward was allegedly terminated for leaking internal information, the media turned into a rabid pit bull, and the small infant child was Edward Korestein. Because Bloomberg made an article saying Musk's Doge team was fired by terminated after the conclusion of an internal investigation into the leaking of proprietary company information that Now, since the media was aware of the Path Truths website, every single 40-year-old person was scramming to hear about this Discord e-drama. I hate myself at this point. We're talking about e-drama, news, and TikToks. But CNN went through all of those leaked documents and found a recording between the bosses of Path Network talking about Edward Korestein's firing, or rehiring. Shit's confusing.
What if he starts leaking this information again?
That audio is from a recorded meeting. Managers talking about Edward Korestein in 2022. Korestein was, when he asked what they should tell the staff about Korestein.
Why would they rehire him? And I realized that this video, the footage of this call, is from pathtruths.com. The leaker of all this information contained on Path Truths was in that voice call, and they said,
We publicly... Edward back. You literally you slandered his name in chat. You said that he was leaking stuff without...
I didn't slander his name. He was
I think that was Curtis.
They alleged that there is no evidence of Edward leaking internal documents. In fact, we get a little bit more clarification just seconds after.
By his own screenshots, he was talking to Renee, and he was paired up with Renee.
So from the perspective of these leaks, it's making it seem like DMing a competitor at all was enough to be labeled as leaking information. What I've tried to piece together is the fact that someone was leaking something somewhere, or maybe the CEO of Path, Marshall, was paranoid that someone was leaking, but what would happen is that Marshall, the CEO, would call employees and get them to screen share, asking them to go into people's private chats to try and figure out who the mole was. And these voice calls are 15 minutes of awkward hell.
Have you ever spoke to Renee?
I have not.
Go to Signal.
I have a bunch of private stuff in Signal, but
that's okay. Everyone else has done this today. I've had 12 people do this. Hello?
Yeah, 1 second. I lost my mouse.
Might need to go.
Got stuff too. Yeah, sorry, I was bad off you. I mean, literally, I heard about the phone call.
I think, as of right now, I'm satisfied.
All right. Yeah, sorry
Chris,
for the whole bashing you thing in there. I know I was just going along with.
No issues. I don't know what I've done for to you personally, but yeah.
Yeah. No offense.
Had you out.
Amy went into a group chat and called out the behavior. I agree that nobody should have contact with our competitor's CEO, but forcing people to show their private conversations, not just with Renee. And according to the call, Edward was fired for talking with Renee.
By his own screenshots, he was talking to Renee.
But forcing people to show their private conversations, not just with Renee, but also their conversations with me, Curtis, and other employees, is a clear privacy violation and is quite frankly just a witch hunt, making people very uncomfortable. I agree we should track down who's leaking internal things and handle it accordingly, but it should be done in the right and ethical way. I have received multiple concerned DMs regarding the last time it happened, when Curtis was terminated temporarily, and even received a recording of an employee straight up being forced by Marshall to show their private conversations with several other employees. It'd be insanely damaging if it went public that we're forcing people to show their private chats. So let's please not do that. And allegedly, according to these leaks, Marshall Webb, the CEO, says, Victor, it's a work environment and those are work conversations, and no one was forced to do anything. Which, with that recording, you can make of it as you will, everyone signed a non-disparagement, non-interference, and a confidentiality clause when they joined. The company is incredibly ethical and we will never change. We have always held that at the front. If you're here, this is your work account. We all use Signal daily for work. But the leaker pushes back saying, but we also use it off work, like a Facebook or Discord account. You can't do this. It's not legal. Ask our lawyer. They'll say the same. Marshall replies, it's clear that in the US it's legal. Feel free to review. No one had their phone physically taken or hacked. Anyone who shared did so on their own accord, and anyone who said no was not asked again.
What about Victor?
Not really. I mean,
Could you go into the chat with Victor?
The video that was sent to me shows you ignoring the employees saying no multiple times, along with them saying they don't want to go into the conversations as they're private. However, you kept asking and pushed them to enter the chats until they felt forced to do so because they feared for their job. While they did it on their own accord, I'm pretty sure it's not legal either way, as they, in their own words, were under duress and felt threatened, job security-wise, if they didn't show it to you. And after pushing back, Russ comes into the conversation and says, "You're wrong on these points, but I'm not going to spend the time to go into it. Victor, your services at Tempest, where Tempest is a subsidiary of Path Network, are no longer required, effective immediately." So he got fired for calling out that people shouldn't be forced to show their private conversations, allegedly. And all of this was happening on top of people allegedly not being paid. Chris M is in another community server where he is labeled as a Path employee, and he tells the admin to remove his role because he was fired because he wanted his paycheck. Where Ziggy, another employee at Path, said, "Your final paycheck has been paid in full. You were fired for leaking confidential data." The ex-employee retorts back saying, "I will believe it when I see it on the paycheck. Also, I have never leaked anything to anyone. I would have nothing to gain from it, just your excuse for not being able to afford to pay folks on time." And the leaker, Frozen, complained about how they allegedly didn't get their final paycheck of $18,000. The leaker also points out that they were fired for calling out the CEO, Marshall, for violating employees' privacy, and they claim that this is allegedly retaliation and wrongful termination. Now, whether if any of these statements are true or not is up to if they actually try to sue them and get their money back if this does happen. Again, these are leaks and internet drama. There's no reliable narrator. I can't trust Path, what they're saying. I can't trust what the leakers are saying. So to wrap up that bit of drama, I don't know with certainty whether or not Edward leaked anything or if he didn't leak anything. But if Edward did leak internal information, he has a massive target on his back now that he's in the government. But if Edward didn't leak internal information and he was framed because he was talking to a competitor just in casual conversation, could Edward try documenting everything about Path and certain characters? They have stuff like Path's legal cases with alleged fraud, discussions alleging financial struggles, and they have a whole entire thread about one of the Path employees allegedly being a predator. Again, this is a giant rabbit hole of comm drama and allegations.
He's on the Axis side. All of these movies along the fucking way, The Greatest Generation, D-Day, all of those lives that were sacrificed so that people could live free. And this fucking nerd, because he couldn't get any in high school, is now identifying with Hitler.
Bill Burr ripped into Elon Musk.
Sir Elon Musk raised eyebrows for a gesture some are comparing to a Nazi salute. Nazi salute?
They're in this country going, support the troops. America, love it or leave it. And all of this type of shit. And it's like, you know, all those guys who died on D-Day, they were fighting Hitler. Like, I've lived so long.
This vexes me.
Like, you know, everything just sort of changes after a while. It's like, wait a minute, are people trying to say he was a good guy now? The f***ing level of ignorance out there. And what is that Twitter guy? He literally sieged Heil. He didn't just Heil. You know, you can accidentally Heil. Hey! Oh, so, I didn't mean like that. I didn't mean like that. But when you add the sieg, you meant it. Good Lord. It is just so funny to me how when I was growing up, all of these women that hated men, they were always focusing on the athletes and they never paid attention to the nerds. And now look at it. You know, you were paying attention to the wrong fucking people. You know, I don't know what their deal was. They were upset because you were a good-looking guy and you could score a touchdown. These nerds just silently resenting beautiful women, resenting, you know, the good-looking guy, the Burt Reynolds guy out there with the T-tops crushing it. Silently resenting. And now we are in the true revenge of the nerds era. And look at that guy with his Turkish hair plugs and his laminated face, and now he's out here sieg heiling.
It would be funny if it wasn't so, you know, alarming. And I guess it is still kind of funny when you think of, if you completely divorce yourself from the horror of this moment and the implications of this moment, if you just totally disregard all the, you know, hurt and pain and suffering, things like the rising tide of fascism. And so unless you take steps to, you know, change the laws or change the Constitution to, you know, prohibit certain kinds of speech, things like fascism can grow in a liberal democracy because it's allowed for. And I don't really know what the answer to that is. Like, when we talk about Germany after World War II, banning Nazi teachings and clothing and party affiliation and, you know, speech, me as an American, like, my first instinct is like, well, I don't know about that, right? Like, and then on the other hand, it's like, well, you kind of get it, you know, kind of understand why they would do something like that. I don't really know what the right answer is, right? Like, we're so trained in America to just have this almost like a knee-jerk reaction if there's any kind of an effort to, like, it's sort of the same thing with like Russian propaganda being laundered into the American sort of zeitgeist via social media. There's no law against setting up like deceptive Twitter accounts and, you know, pushing disinformation during elections. As far as I'm aware, there's no law strictly prohibiting that action. I mean, the companies themselves could have terms of service that, you know, you could be violating those. But so this is kind of a problem with liberal democracy, is that, you know, once something like fascism starts to catch fire, once it starts to ramp up a little bit, you know, your only hope of stopping it is through the power of persuasion. You know, we don't deal with fascism, at least in America, or the threat of fascism. Typically, we don't deal with it through authoritarian measures like, you know, throwing people in jail or taking away their right to vote because they believe a certain thing or they say a certain thing. And so then it's on like the leaders of, you know, the defenders of liberal democracy. It's up to them to make the more persuasive, compelling argument. And which is what we've been talking about on Live and Learn a lot. Like the Democratic leadership right now, they may be fully competent in terms of whipping votes and fostering like unanimity in the party when it's really needed, like a united front, for example, a couple days ago with the budget. Not a single Democrat voted for the budget in the House, which is good, right? But like, so Hakeem Jeffries might be good at that behind the scenes stuff, but right now it appears as though the Democratic Party, they don't really yet have competent leadership to win the war of persuasion right now.
This is the United States. We're united, not divided. And like, are we really going to f this up because Elon Musk couldn't get any pussy in high school? Like we're really going to f this whole thing up? It just boggles my mind. I don't know. Well, we'll see how that plays out.
I recognize that city.
We'll see how that plays. To be honest with you, nobody looks like Elon Musk. That's what scared me about that guy. You know what I mean? Like Hitler couldn't live up to his version of what the perfect human was. What do you like? Blonde, blue-eyed, and all of those Scandinavian people. And like he was this ugly little that was one ugly son of a bitch, I will tell you that. You know, scowling. He definitely came with the grunge vibe before grunge music. You know?
That's one way to put it.
Hitler definitely had Seattle energy. He was not a Sunset Strip guy. T-tops, doing some blow, driving down the street with some big-titted blonde. That was not his vibe. He was... Hitler's chicks had hairy legs. I'm going to say that's what it was. That's what he could get. He was a private. He was a private in the service. He was a private in the army. And
I dated someone one time, and I didn't know this right away until things became intimate. But whilst in the act of coitus, of carnal pleasures, I discovered that they did not shave. They didn't shave their legs. They didn't shave their armpits. And that was challenging. And I consider myself a very progressive guy. I considered myself at the time like very open-minded, very progressive, you know, gender conformity. Who cares? Cares about all that? I don't care. And I got to tell you, all that went out the window as soon as I saw her armpit hair. All of those progressive bona fides just evaporated immediately, and I was like, I don't know if I like this, and I struggled with it the whole time. It was really tough.
No, I don't know, and we all paid the price. So now here comes another one. Here comes another one. You know what? The greatest country and the freest country in the world needs fascism.
Springfield will have its first annual Do What You Feel festival this Saturday, whenever you feel like showing up. It'll be a welcome change from our annual Do As We Say festival, started by German settlers in 1946.
Unreal. Unreal. I hate that expression, come to Jesus moment. The f does that mean?
You know, Noam Chomsky, one of the most, you know, arguably the most influential, how do I phrase this? He influenced
the most influential piece of shit? Is that how you phrase it? I think that's how you phrase it.
Influenced me the most of all of the authors and political and social commentators that I was exposed to at a young age. There was something about Noam Chomsky's writing and his speech that really pulled me in. I bought so many of his books, and I would, back in the Napster or LimeWire days, I would pirate like 45-minute Q&A sessions that he would do at some university or whatever. Like somebody would get a recording of that, and then things where he described the prospect of American fascism. And he, I think, correctly pointed out that if America ever really succumbs to fascism, the consequences of that would probably be, would definitely be so much worse than what we saw from Hitler, of the human species on. If a country like that fully succumbed to fascism, then the direction that America goes is going to dictate how the world goes. Not because we're inherently like exceptional beings, but this is the hand that we were dealt. I was born into the most powerful country in the world. And I don't blame people from Europe looking at American politics and feeling extremely worried for their own country in this moment. Although Canada, I have to say, Canada does seem to be turning things around. I don't know if you guys have seen the opinion polls, but it looks like the Liberal Party in Canada has rebounded. They've rebounded in the polls. It looks like the Liberal Party in Canada has overtaken the Conservative Party. And what was once thought to be or what was once expected to be a conservative blowout in the next election looks like it's going to be much, much closer than that. So I guess we can thank Donald Trump for that. Is that, I don't know, Canadians, is that the reason why the polls are shifting in favor of the Liberal Party, or is there something more salient in terms of like domestic shit? What is causing that shift? Then just tell me. You think it's Trudeau? You don't think Donald Trump's own behaviors? You don't think Donald Trump's own rhetoric is contributing to this kind of liberal surge? That seems unlikely to me. It seems unlikely that you can untangle the two.
All right, I'm running from that guy. All right, not him personally. All right, I got no problem with that surfer-looking guy. You know, he looks like he, goes out on a board out there in Malibu.
We never talk about the movie Dogma.
Carbs.
We never talk about that movie. I feel like it's easily Kevin Smith's best film. Kevin Smith, I feel like his films did not age well, in my opinion. I loved Kevin Smith when I was in like 8th grade or 9th grade. Clerks and Mallrats, and I loved his movies, and now I just can't stand them. Isn't that kind of weird? Isn't that kind of crazy? Like I cannot think of a thing that I would want to do less than watch old Kevin Smith films. They're just so juvenile, you know what I mean? Like I just can't. But Dogma is great. Dogma definitely stands the test of time.
Up the waves or whatever. I got no beef with him, but it's who he works for. I stay away from those guys. I cut out like the middle. Religion, it's like trying to give money to a charity. It's like trying to get the money to the actual people that use it once it goes through the infrastructure is impossible. And that's what I find with, like, if you're going to try to have a relationship with the higher power, I don't get how you do that through organized religion. Just inherently, it doesn't make any sense. I feel like your sense of a higher power and that there's something bigger than you is your own personal thing, and that somebody privatized it and turned it into a business and then starts throwing down rules and scaring the shit out of you and telling you if you do this, you do that.
Catholics catching strays now too. What did the Catholics? What did we ever do to you, huh?
All of this shit. They don't know. They have no idea.
Besides, like execute scientists and cover up sexual abuse and hoard unfathomable amounts of wealth and participate in the Inquisition and kill like a third of the planet in the Crusades. And besides all that, what has the Catholic Church ever done to you? Okay,
what they're talking about, and now it's a business, and they're making all this money. You make money, you got both.
It's funny. Like I rejected Catholicism when I came of age. I definitely reached a point where I'm like, I'm good. I don't go to a Catholic school anymore. I'm an adult. I'm good. It's a clean break. But when I hear other people shit on Catholics, there is a part of me that's like, excuse me? I'm sorry, what? What did you say? I mean, technically I'm confirmed. That's for life. That's for life. Any day I could go to church and take the communion, go into a confessional booth, confess my sins, and I'm right back in that boat. Boom, bang, boom. Okay.
You got boats, you got money, you got whores. You're out there and, having a good time. You don't want it to end. So then I don't know.
This shit for sure. Like this shit to me is more egregious than the Catholic Church. Like the mega churches and the evangelical kind of industrial complex. That to me, and I'm biased, but that to me, the evangelical shit is so much crazier than the Catholic Church, in my opinion. It's so much crazier. The concept alone of a mega church and a pastor worth hundreds of millions of dollars is crazy to me. And plus, they also do like speaking in tongues, and They're the weird Christians, okay? We're the normal ones. Me and, you know, us and the Protestants, we're kind of normal. Not that crazy. You go to a fucking evangelical church and they're having seizures and speaking nonsense.
This one. This shit is.
I know that language. She's speaking Na'vi from Avatar. She can't pull the wool over my eyes.
Hold on, I gotta search for that shit too. Suckers, I want your hard-earned cash. Jamaica representative. This shit is fucking wild. This woman was appointed as like what? Fate office? What the fuck? What the fuck is she saying? What is this shit, bro? Evangelicals are not fucking. I mean, they're clearly not normal, but yeah.
It's the same language. She's literally just ripping off of the Na'vi. You gotta say it like Na'vi. The sound of Na'vi language.
The Na'vi language. الفعل Na'vi. Numbers. أو منى A.
Non-stop cinema. Should have won Best Picture.
And if all these different groups can make up their own bullshit or what the they think's going to happen after you die, why can't I? How come I can't have my own bullshit? And I like my bullshit because it doesn't involve anybody else. I'm not putting it on anybody. There's no collection basket. There's no pedophiles. There's no getting in bed with the Nazis. And, oh, did we have some of your money? Sorry about that. There's none of that shit. None of that shit. There's no terrorists. There's no fucking 90 virgin. There's none of that shit. None of that shit.
Don't ask how come, why come the pastor have to have him a nice house? Why come pastor got to have a nice car? Don't ask. I said, don't ask. I said, don't ask. No questions.
That's pretty good.
None of that shit. I don't even know what it is. It's just it's your own thing. You're on your own. Maybe that's what some people. I think they just like the group dynamic. You know, just to be part of something. I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but the Nazi Party started with a bake sale, and people just wanting to be part of a community. Who is Elon Musk dating? Can you imagine his chick when he just sees him go out there? and then just watches him start Sieg Heiling. Like, oh my God, what is he doing? He's going to burn this whole thing down. I think he just lost his job. Oh, wait a minute. Nothing happened. I cannot believe nothing happened. Nothing happened. How do you explain that away?
Musk posted on X.
He really just did he really did that gesture, and then we all just kind of oh, okay, all right, well, I guess we're doing that now. 2 days later, nobody was talking about it anymore. I guess we're still talking about it a little bit.
They need better dirty tricks. The everyone is Hitler attack is so tired.
I saw some guy who was saying gesture truthism and trying to make it seem like people were saying that he wasn't Sieg Heiling. He goes, okay, what was he doing?
I dabbled in a little of that. That was my initial reaction, just because there was just, I don't know, maybe it's just there's something, I think I'm just too optimistic about people, just in general. And sometimes that indirectly gets, that charitability kind of goes to people that I saw it and my mind couldn't wrap around what I was witnessing. So my initial reaction was like, well, he's kind of a weirdo. Maybe he just hulked out, adrenaline surge. That was my initial reaction, which in hindsight seems kind of silly. But
what was he saying? And then my rockets are gonna get launched, and they go that way. Maybe it was
true. Maybe he was doing that.
It was taken out of context.
That makes sense.
You know who would do the Sieg part of the Heil? But not the whole Sieg Heil. Was that Celine Dion? It was like she was a Nazi that was stuttering. You know what I mean? She couldn't quite get through it. She would sieg. She'd like punch herself in the cleavage. Hey, Elon Musk, if you don't mind, we'd like to enjoy our life. I don't think we need to reboot Adolf Hitler, you fucking lunatic.
Realistically, the only thing pinning value to music is fear that the government will lock you up or fine you if you share it without permission, which doesn't sit with me right. Almost every single generative AI thing in the world is infringing copyright, and if you or I did it in the way that we could with the technology we have access to, we would be sued. I think it's a lot of money now, but the inflation will increase, and it will be just enough money to buy them a mattress when they're ready to die, and it all just gets siphoned away through inflation, while everything that is a hedge to inflation is owned. And I came to this conspiracy theory from companies constantly trying to buy my entire body of work. Like just private equity firms just saying, oh, you want to sell us all of your work? And I'm thinking to myself, like, buying music right now in like the streaming era and AI and everything, it seems like a terrible investment. Like, who would want to give me hundreds of thousands of dollars for my library, you know? But there's just a lot of things to buy. What is nobody was putting in as much as I was. Like, if I was in a band, I was singing and playing guitar, and then I was like showing the drummer like how to play a beat better and things, and I was just so focused on music. And so I just ended up being like, well, I'm gonna buy a drum machine and I'm gonna make my own music. And that's kind of how I bridged into electronic, was like trying to make you know, at the time electronic music was like acid house and like what ended up kind of turning into EDM, but I was trying to like make, I guess, more Buddy Ritchie, jazzy, or, you know, things like that with a drum machine, and it didn't really sound right, but it sounded like a different type of music that ended up becoming a genre later.
Do you edit out my hesitation here? Dave Grohl, that's a real guy from Nirvana.
Yeah, he's a drummer. And Foo Fighters.
Was he in Foo? Oh, he might have been in Foo Fighters as well.
Is he the leader of
You're looking at me like I'm ever going to know anybody's
Well, I don't really know. Yeah, I mean,
I didn't know who whatever that guy's name was. The
Aphex Twin.
Yeah.
I think he had, I remember him talking about the era of, I think it was like instant talent on like talent shows or whatever. And he kind of went on a whole diatribe about how we were kind of like lost something from music because it's not like a bunch of kids playing in garages anymore that are like experimenting with each other. Not like that. Like experimenting, playing music with each other. Yeah. Yeah. But so I've seen a lot of arguments. I'm just curious because you came from a formal music background, formal-ish. You were playing jazzy stuff. That's formal enough for me. And then kind of got into the electronic stuff. There's so much back and forth between like the state of music to where some people are like, music has never been more sad than it has been today. And then other people are like, there's a greater availability of anything ever. You're just only listening to what's popular. How do you feel about, I guess, that discussion in general?
So like, this is there's like two sides to this in a big way, where a lot of people are trying to protect their intellectual property, and then I am totally for that, and I understand it, and I understand that like a lot of people need to continue making a living if they're making a living off their work. And I mean, what anybody is watching or listening to right now is intellectual property, and that's how you're going to make money from it, and that's how this is going to pay for itself, hopefully. On the other end, it's an absurd thing. Like saying, like if I hum a song right now, if I just play something on the piano here, and I just pull a song out of my ass, you legally can't play it in front of an audience. Like that's against the law, which is kind of just insane to say, this is mine and its worth is however much I say it's worth. And that's what the law recognizes. It's really just like a bandage that just kept getting bigger and snowballing. And now we live in this really confusing world where like we have one of the most popular music genres is based on sampling other people's music, but like it's super illegal to do so without consent, but a lot of people are doing it without consent. There's electronic music genres like jungle, drum and bass that are like founded on single samples that nobody had permission to resample. Like there's a break called the Amen break. Yeah. And it's from it's a piece of music that nobody had permission to sample, and thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of songs have sampled it, like things that have charted in Billboard, and stuff. So but at the base of the whole thing, a big confusing argument is that realistically, the only thing pinning value to music is fear that the government will lock you up or fine you if you share it without permission, which doesn't sit with me right, and it is absurd. And I think that I hope that the one good thing about everything that's happening with AI and people not being paid enough royalties, I think that the silver lining to that is that we might actually figure out that compensating an artist or a creator or an interviewer or a writer is better than paying them through their intellectual property, because that's where everybody's taking advantage of it too. That's where you have all these middlemen.
So what do you mean by that? So obviously I'm imagining you'd be not very supportive of like Spotify then in general, or like being paid per view or paid per listen.
Yeah.
You want people to like, how do you want like an artist instead to make, if I'm a musician, what's like the ideal sense for you of making money? If
you're a musician and you said, Ben, I want to make money as a musician, I would say, okay, like ideally, realistically, create a Patreon. And then I would tell people to join your Patreon, because that's just giving you money to make music, which people want to listen to. And there's not many middlemen. There's still a lot. There's still going to be PayPal, and there's still going to be Patreon themselves taking their 10 to 15%. But ultimately, it's not nearly as many middlemen as Apple Music Store, or Apple Store, Spotify, or whoever you're downloading the app through, Google Play or Apple, Spotify, then a label, a distributor, a digital distributor like DistroKid, all of those things. And then you have like PayPal and all that stuff on the other end. You have so many middlemen that are taking pennies out of that dollar. And yeah, so it's just like, why are we doing this? That's like the number one solution would just be to support artists directly rather than doing it through their intellectual property. I would much rather have intellectual property be free and people, support artists.
So you, in general, you don't want people to have intellectual property. Like you don't want me to go like do and then claim that as like my little Diddy song.
In a fantasy world,
except not Diddy, because
in a fantasy world, I would write an album, or everybody would write an album, and it would go on a site like GitHub and be fully open source, and other people would be able to use it as inspiration or write to it, and just the whole ownership of a melody wouldn't be a thing. Like you would just support an artist who made things that you liked, and you would constantly. Another thing that I really like about, so another two issues to sort of quickly bring into this. One of them, Kanye West's Life of Pablo. He releases the album, I think exclusive to Tidal. Then he releases it on Spotify, and then he didn't like something about it, and he changed something, and he just re-uploaded it, or his label re-uploaded it. And that blew my mind, because I was like, he just gave an album a 1.1. Like he just brought it from a 1.0 to a 1.0, or 1.0 to 1.1. And the crazy thing about that is like, why do we still have albums as these like tombstones that like are just these like, we could if we wanted to, but like, why is that the norm? Why, if I make an album, why can't I make a 2.0? Why can't I add songs to it or change ideas and then allow a person to go back to those other iterations if they wanted to? If I deleted a song and they liked that song, they could go back. Like, we have full capability to do that. The only reason that like you would have to make an album not a living thing would be if you were living in the 1985 when you had to buy a cassette, or when you couldn't download something. So that's the first thing. I'd really love for albums to be living things, because one thing that was happening before I had like a YouTube channel and everything, every time I released an album, I would look at like, what people were saying, and they would say, oh, well, I'm really glad that's awesome that Ben's still making music. I had no idea he was still making music, like as if I became like an HVAC repair person or something. But it was, you always had to like remind people that you were still alive every year or 2 years or 3 years when you're releasing an album. But if you had a living album, you would always be engaged with that, like you are with social media, with other things. And then on the other side of that, well, like I said earlier, like I would much rather just see intellectual property with music and things like that, just not be the way that. But this is also like a fantasy world, like so many things. This is also being. I'd also like for universal health care to be available in the United. There's like a bunch of things that would be great, but it's a very complicated transition. That would.
Do you think, I guess from a creative perspective, you wouldn't be worried about like the desire to fall into the trap of like endlessly like tweaking songs or something on an album if you had the ability to go back and I guess rework it?
I don't think I would, no. I mean, I think there's a few things that I would do maybe a little bit differently, where I felt like now, with a wiser mind 20 years later, I may have, made a crash cymbal a little bit less harsh in a certain place or something. But I truly, for me personally, I truly think I would be annoyed with those tasks. I would just want to make new music.
Yeah. Because sometimes those, like, the shitty, like, mastering, like, the whatever of certain eras, or, like, just sort of sounds or songs or whatever, are products of the time. And if you were to go back and, like, clean them up or change them, it, like, kind of makes it something a little different. Yeah. Do you think... I'm with you on, I actually really don't like creative intellectual property. I'm sympathetic towards parts of it. Like, I think it has to exist to protect it to some extent. Like, nobody's going to make a huge investment in time and money if somebody just copy it and then just give it to everybody for free.
Right.
So I'm in favor, but I feel like those protections should be like 1 to 5 years and then we're done. Not like this like 800-year forever thing. Yeah.
I mean, and that's one of the reasons why I think in like music and some videos and things like that, is because if you have somebody making a huge investment in an album, and then they want to own the intellectual property over that, it's usually like a major label or something, and the person making the investment in there doesn't need to be involved. Yeah. Like, they don't actually, because you don't really need even somebody like Eminem doesn't need, $1 million to make an album. And it's just that investment is what is creating all of the abuse, that is creating all of the problems that you hear about every day.
Sure. I feel like music also has this special issue of, I don't know if it's because it's an auditory medium, but in music, you can play two melodies and they might sound like pretty similar, but like you could, like the context of the melody, harmonically or instrumentation or whatever. There's a million different ways that it could sound like completely different. And then you end up in like really goofy worlds sometimes where, was it the Ice Baby song? That was, I think, a big lawsuit. And then there was another one.
That was sampling. So
that was a sample one, sure.
Yeah. With a music license, the way that it works is you have a master and you have a sync. And so master would be like, if I were to, let's say I invented the song Happy Birthday and I sung Happy Birthday to you, it would be the melody and the actual like notes in the order that they're played. And then the sync would be me record, or synchronization license. That would be me recording it. And the reason that it was kind of made, I actually don't know this. I would assume that the reason that it was made that way is for the label to own the synchronization license, because they were paying in the 1950s and 60s all the money it would take to record something and duplicate the albums. And then the master, by law, I can't sell the master to anybody of a song. Like, that is, by law, I have to own, that's just how copyright works. I can't.
This also helps because so that you can own performances of like copyright-free music, right? Yeah. So like if I were to perform a Beethoven song, even though I don't have the master license to it, yes. I can own my performance of it basically without owning it.
Yeah. And so when you negotiate a license, like for example, if a Colgate ad wanted to license one of my songs, they would negotiate both the master and the sync separately. And so, for example, in classically, Pink Floyd doesn't license songs anywhere, especially to ads, but they don't seem to license. And so in The Departed, they have Comfortably Numb sung by like some weird indie band or something where it's just like, and it's kind of jarring because you're like, this.
Big money, bitch. The song works with the scene, but not this version of it. You know?
I fucking hate that song, and I'm gonna be honest. I love
really?
The Departed, and I didn't even realize I was in. It's that when they go to like the Leo and the lady go to bang, right?
Yeah, I think it's like
frame, like yeah. In music, we would call it like a quotation. Maybe in film they call it quotes as well. But like nobody would ever think to like I'm suing him for that sequence. He copied that. But in music, it's like a totally different set of rules, which is very annoying.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny too because there's like in jazz. it seems very, very different. Like when I've played in like trios or something like that, you often meet the people that you're playing with for the first time at the show, and then you just open up your real book or fake book, which is a whole other copyright thing that too boring to get into. But okay, let's play Autumn Leaves. Okay, let's play Summertime. Okay, Giant Steps. And like these are all, and that's just kind of the norm. It's just kind of cool to play other people's music, and you just and you interpret it in your own ways, and not too many people get sued. And then you have like the Coldplay Joe Satriani thing, where it could easily be argued, like, I highly doubt that Coldplay was listening to some 80s Joe. Do you know who Joe Satriani is? He's like a
amazing guitar player.
Yeah, he's but very like hair rock, like very, I can't imagine Coldplay sitting around listening to Joseph, but they probably heard it before, and it's a catchy melody, and it was probably, and so when they were writing that song, it sounded right. And it's like,